got an extraordinary book here by Rufus Opus, Seven Spheres. And while I've got really very little other than compliments for the author, Rufus Opus, who's written a very useful book here in Seven Spheres. Unfortunately, I don't really have very much good to say about the publisher, Nephilim Press. But, you know, as they say, if you don't have anything nice to say, then it's best not to say too much. I think the saying goes, don't say anything. I think it's worth mentioning that they charged $50 to send two books of roughly the same size. I mean, it's not a gigantic book, right? So they sent them from the US to Europe. I'll add that the 5 books that I ordered from Ouroboros Press came to $18 postage and packaging. So $50 is a little bit steep. And they made a mistake on the customs form where they didn't write that this was a book. They just wrote the title of the book. And I live in a country that's where the language is not English, and the people at customs, not seeing the usual printed documents which they would expect to see, didn't know what this was, and so charged me an additional $10 for taxes. I wrote to Nephilim Press to let them know about this. They didn't write back. Okay, so that was my introduction to Nephilim Press. Now, I received this book, and as you can see, the cover is actually quite pretty with the 3 candles. It's a book on planetary magic, so about the 7 traditional planets and the spirits associated to those 7 planets. So this is a very nice cover. It's a limited edition. It's limited to 1,000 copies. Yeah, that's right. All right. Let me show you the end papers. I don't know if my opinion is tainted by my experience with customer services, but to me this looks like the doodlings of a angsty 14-year-old on his notebook. No disrespect to the artist who you know is clearly talented. But the choice, the decision to go with these images on what is essentially a book on sacred magic, this is, I don't know, it's a little bit Hollywood, isn't it? It's not even Hollywood. It's a bit Wizards of the Coast. It jars so much with the tone of the book itself. It just feels completely out of place. Anyway, let me show you where the good stuff is. Now this is the good stuff. Here are the contents of Rufus Opus's excellent book. Get the Kindle edition is all I can really say. So in the Hermetic Cosmology, he describes his cosmology. He describes essentially his version of Gnosticism. That's basically it. His version of what happens before Genesis. Okay, and then he describes how to consider oneself as kings of all genders. By the way, it's something that he mentions in his preface on the genders of kings. Notice the plural there. And then he goes into the description of the 7 traditional planets: Jupiter, Mars, the Sun, Venus, Mercury, the Moon, and Saturn. And then he talks about the rituals that are involved in introducing each of these 7 spheres into your life, really. And then there's a walkthrough, so a general overview, and then he goes into detail, general detail, and then detail that is different for each of the spheres. Then he writes the Orphic hymns for the various planets, which are used within the ritual. And then that covers the ritual basically, and then he talks about talismans. So once again, we're looking at the kind of magic from the clavis, or the key to the magic of Solomon, and maybe Picatrix. And that's it. And the whole thing is written in a really conversational style. A lot of these modern grimoires are written in a way that's just not very approachable. Lots of nominalizations and just a language that's not designed to keep you engaged. I'd say if you're reading it for personal interest, it's quite easy to fall asleep while you're trying to read these. But Rufus Opus's language is quite on the contrary. It's written as if he was speaking to you in a very jovial, conversational, buddy style. It worked very well for me, as in his style worked very well. I was very happy reading all the way through, and I didn't lose interest at any point. It's all fascinating. So the ritual is essentially it's a simplification of Trithemius's, what's it called? Drawing spirits into crystals, and he's just basically found a way of simplifying it to a degree, so that it still works, and so that it's easy for any modern practitioner to give it a go. The idea is to bring all 7 spheres into your life so that they can increase and improve every aspect of your life. That's the idea. So really big props to Rufus Opus, and maybe try to get in touch with with a more respectable publishing house, respectable, or at least respectful, who respect their clients a little bit more than Nephilim. But in the meantime, I am grateful to Nephilim for having published this, because it's I'd go as far as to say an important work, and one that's very accessible and very easy to approach for absolute beginners. So those are my thoughts. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you like the video, and to subscribe if you'd like to see more like this. Thanks ever so much for watching as usual, and see you very soon. Bye.